to go. They might be scared of turning the guns on them, because that's why people stay away from coming to demonstrate, because they know those leaders will shoot at them without thinking twice. It has happened so many times. Look at in Burkina Faso, Blaise Compaoré has been there since '87, and whenever people come out to demonstrate, they are gunned down. Then he came to power, okay, participating in planning and executing his own best friend, Thomas Sankara, who was president. And he's been there since '87, shows no sign of going. In Congo Brazzaville, Sassou Nguesso, you know, has been there since '91, really. Yeah, he has been president, left, came back again in '97 through a civil war, and still in power and shows no sign of leaving. So this is what you have all over that continent now. So it's very important, you know, that what is happening in Libya, you know, happening in the rest of Africa. And what the problem is this: a lot of those regimes in Africa, the U.S. government says they are our friends. Okay, that's a mistake again. But the average African doesn't see it that way. Take, for example, Obiang in Equatorial Guinea. Yeah, the last time Condoleezza Rice went over there and said, oh yes, you know, Obiang is a good ally of the United States. But everybody knows that Obiang has bankrupted the country, and not only that, you know, has siphoned most of the funds to be used for development. Equatorial Guinea has more oil, almost as much as Kuwait, but with a population of about 900,000 people. Half of the people in that country don't have shoes, can't go to school, but oil is gushing. And the dictator doesn't, you know, want anybody to criticize him. He wins elections by 99.9%. Up to today, okay, the last election was 99.9%. You know, that's the margin. Okay, so those kind of people people will think, hey, the State Department and the White House has to be against those kind of dictators, because when they go, the investments we have there will still be there to be protected. Okay, the oil in Equatorial Guinea does not, exactly.
It's just there.
It's there. It doesn't belong to Obiang. Okay, when he leaves, we will still have access to that oil, regardless of who's in power. So why should we be supporting these dictators? We say because of our oil interest. Their oil will be there when they leave. Okay, we're not going to be supporting dictatorship.
They will have greater access to it.
Exactly, because the people will be happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you help them get rid of these folks. Right now, people there are suppressed. You know, a lot of anger going through all these countries because they see the leaders sitting there, doing nothing, exploiting their resources for their own personal aggrandizement and their families, and people are suffering. So why should we be supporting Dos Santos up till now in Angola because of the oil? When he goes, the oil will be there. NATO was there before. NATO died, Dos Santos took over, the oil is still there. It's still there. Okay, why should we be supporting, you know, a dictator in Chad, you know, Idris Deby, because of, you know, the oil in Chad? If Idris Deby goes, the oil will be still there, and we'll still have access to it. So we have to have an even-handed approach, you know, to dealing with dictators all over the world. It wouldn't be the way, case-by-case basis, as we, you know, do right now. For example, in Bahrain, people are saying, okay, hey, you know, the Bahraini government is shooting civilians too. It's been on TV. Why can't we do the same, the way we are talking about Libya? It is the same thing. The difference is that they are not using warplanes, and they are not armed. But the Bahraini government is shooting people on the streets.
But we've got an interest, we think.
Yeah, because we have our 5th fleet based in Bahrain.
And like nobody else can keep us there with...
That's correct. And Saudi Arabia has come in now with about 1,000 soldiers to support them with our tacit approval. And that's what we are saying. We don't want that kind of double standard in Africa. Those dictators who've been there for long, suppressing their people, need to go.
Dr. Madu, I think that we've had you on many occasions and always about the problems in Africa. And we've always talked about, as we end the show for today, we've always talked about the dictators and et cetera. But I think that what you're telling us now, that this just might be the twilight of the dictators, that it just might be time that the people are rising up. They might not be rising up in Africa now, but the stage has been set for them to do so.
Absolutely.
Of course, let me thank you for coming by and giving us that. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.